boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. Yup, that's a fact. What's up? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Got a great show for you this evening. Why do I say? Because how do I know? Because I said so, right? This is an opportunity for us to discuss um, a clip that went kind of viral for me that had a conversation regarding sympathy and empathy in regards to men and women, and when is it given, how is it given. And so I wanted to bring it back up and to talk about it. And so um, we're going to talk about empathy and sympathy. What do they mean? How can we use those, and how when should we use those, or should they be used at all? And so I'm going to start with the first question of the day. What's one thing your generation values the most? And as you come in, don't forget to hit the like button as well as the subscribe button and leave us a comment. Okay, so we're going to start off. Let's see who we got. It's me, Jamie, in the building.
I knew it, but I am ready.
You did not know. That'll be you.
All right. So, one thing my generation values the most, but don't really mean it. I want to put that in there. Communication.
Okay. Tell me what you mean.
Everybody says that they value communication, but they haven't taken the time to really understand what real communication looks like. They don't know. So they just, hop on and give their thoughts and their feelings, but they don't even know how to receive somebody else's and process it. So that's why I said they like to talk, but they're not trying to listen. They're not trying to listen to change or anything like that. So it just sounds good. I want communication in a relationship, but I can't handle what he said.
Hey, listen. I'm gonna put something down. I'm gonna bring that back up based on what you said.
Okay.
That's a bet. I like that. All right. And we're gonna welcome next to the stage Lost in Translation.
Good evening, sir.
What's up, man?
How are you?
I'm good, bro. Appreciate
Good.
you being here.
Thank you. The thing that our generation values most, man, is slow dancing, man, and R&B music. Think about it. Gen X, man, that's the last generation that had the balladeers, man. You know what I'm saying? And the good singing and the slow dance. You know what I'm saying? That closeness. So that's what our generation was good for. I don't know what happened after that, so I can't speak to the ones after us. But I know for a fact our generation loves some slow dancing and some R&B music. You know what I'm saying? The good stuff.
That's crazy. Okay, that's a bet. Hey, and then we gonna welcome she thinks she a youngster. None other than Miss Ash.
The lies you shall tell on this today. Okay.
Don't you think you were young?
No, baby. Not after my ankle put me down. No. You said my generation, what we value the most. I guess work ethic. I'm gonna put it out there. Yeah, because we were some hard workers and goal setters. We get it done. That's what I'm gonna leave it at right now. Where's my mute
What
button?
generation would you say that you fall in line with?
You know what? I don't know. Because I just told you backstage I don't fit. So I ain't claiming nobody. I really
You're not claiming nobody but your kids. I got you.
I don't even claim him right now.
Listen, yes, you do. Because before April 15th, you get it in. Exactly.
What does that mean? April 15th? Baby, that means nothing. Do you not know them kids' birthdays in March and in
You not
April?
file your taxes?
Sir, that did you not hear me say birthdays in March and then April? April Fools, do you think I got tax money? Baby, I have nothing. I have nothing but a hope and a smile. Because guess what? My birthday's in the middle of that. I'm
It's
sorry.
gone.
There ain't no money.
That's a bit. Appreciate you for being here.
No problem.
And none other than Mr. Sir Hale in the building. What's good, homie?
Salute Humble Dad. Shout out to Humble Dad in high definition. You see what I did there?
I see
You saw
that.
what I did there?
Yeah.
Salute. What's going on, Jamie? What's going on, Lost in Translation podcast? Salute to Ash and the chat. This is a really good question. If I were to pick something, I would say this generation, my generation, we value instant gratification. We don't know how to delay nothing. We want it right now. Forget working for 20 years and saving up for retirement and having something. No, what the government should do, right? So we want instant gratification. And I think that we want this because we lack the work ethic it takes to build something meaningful over a period of time.
So it's a little different than what Ash said, though. Interesting. Controversial, maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Hey, and then we're going to welcome none. Listen, you got to turn your camera on, homie. You can't just be in the back. Y'all already know who it is. Okay. We'll wait till he get his stuff together. So I would say, I think that what they value the most, I literally was going to say for my generation, it was going to be R&B music. Literally, that's what I was going to say. I would say I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 78 and graduated high school in 96. Right. And so that was the 90s was me growing up. Right. And R&B was a big deal, as well as the Kirk Franklin type of music that kind of transition over. But listening to what you all said, I would say they value lies mostly, because the truth seems to be very foreign and it doesn't seem to resonate as quickly as it should. However, a lie will travel and they will continue to lie until they can't anymore get past the truth, I would say. And I say that based on like talking to people, not just on this show, but like where I work. When they've been given the truth, because they've heard the lie so much, they don't think that the truth is the truth. They think that the truth that's being said is the lie. So I would say that they value the lie more than the truth, because as it says in the Bible, they like what tickles their ears. You feel me? All right, so here we go. We're gonna start out pretty simple, and you can give a short or long version of the definition. But I want you to tell me, what is empathy? What is empathy? And we'll start with it's me, Jamie. What is empathy? Or you can describe it. Jamie, are you there?
Is being able to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. It's the ability to understand and relate to what the person's problem is and possibly help, I guess. But that's my answer. I think it's kind of simple like that. It's just having the ability to understand and
Ability to
empathize, right? To like feel what they're feeling without making them feel or mess with their ego. I learned that on the last show. Don't say I
don't.
remember.
That's what's
Don't.
up. That's
Yep.
that's what we're here for, man. We trying to teach people. Who you got going next?
Ash, because she laughing.
Put
This,
yourself in their shoes. That's it.
uh,
But guess what? Empathy I really don't have. I'm gonna go with Sir Hale.
I knew.
Was that the answer?
Yeah, that was her
Yeah,
answer.
I told you,
That's,
short and
that's her
simple.
answer.
Put
Yeah.
yourself in their
Okay.
shoes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I mean? Okay. So
Sure.
so, so empathy is a lot of debate about what this means, right? But if you think about empathy from this perspective, so humble dad, before I answer this, is there a question that is what is sympathy?
Yes.
Okay, so I won't go into my full answer. I'll make this very brief. So empathy is my ability to feel what you're feeling. Like that's what empathy is I have an understanding of what you feel, but I'm connected to what you feel. So it's not dissociative. It's I associate with you. And therefore what you feel, I join in with that. And it gives me a different experience uh so that I can connect with you based off of what I feel. So it's me feeling you. And we'll go with Lost in Translation podcast.
Thank you, sir. I think empathy is the ability to resonate with somebody emotionally. Basically, what Sir Hale said, to be able to feel emotionally what the other person feels and how to basically feel what they feel. You see what I'm saying? It's just one of those things to relate emotionally to somebody, because emotions are some of those things that it's kind of hard to describe. It's like if somebody loses a parent, you can't say, "Man, I couldn't imagine, losing my mom. That must be kind of tough." You see what I'm saying? So basically, you're resonating with that person on an emotional frequency that they can relate to you on, and you can relate to them on.
That's good. I would add to the conversation of just just kind of being in this space and also being married and having conversations with people, specifically women. I would say I don't know if men concern themselves much with this particular part of it, but to be able to validate someone's statement, to let them know that, okay, what it is that I hear you saying is XYZ. Would you agree with that statement, or am I missing it? Right. And so I don't know if men care so much. Because I know when like, for example, when I'm talking to Dwayne, I'm telling him he tripping, you know, or like that ain't what I don't know what you're talking about. That don't make sense to me. I don't really have to lead with, okay, well, what it is I hear you saying. Like I don't have to lead with that. But when I'm talking to a woman, I always seem to have to be like, okay, what it is that I hear you're saying is that this is this is how what it is that I'm saying makes you feel this way, or the situation happened like this. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that's what it seems to be. And so that would be a particular way of how I see empathy in regards to the conversation. So being able to validate one's thoughts, concerns, and even frustrations, I would say. All right. So we got that part down. We got it together. Let me see if okay, they're not ready yet. And then the next question, and you already know it, okay, is what is sympathy? Okay, what is sympathy? And we'll start with Sir Hale, since you kind of already had an idea. So go ahead and go with your idea, sir.
Okay, good. So yeah, so this is really good. Now, so I can really say my answer. So empathy is feeling for, as well, it's feeling the person. Sympathy is feeling for a person. So an example of this is a Lost in Translation gave a very a powerful illustration. Somebody loses their parent, and you say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened to you. Wow, this I really feel for you. I'm sorry that this happened to you." That's sympathy. And sympathy is not a weak thing. It's a very important thing because it evokes a sense of care. Like somebody who sympathizes for you, it shows some care. But let's take the example though. So let's say you just lost your parent and you've got people who are your friends and family while you are at the hospital. I mean, you hear the beep going on, the parent just lost their life. And you have to unplug it and you have to accept that your parent is gone. And so you call your relatives and friends and family, and people who knew her come to see her to see if she really gone. Sympathy. Empathy, though, is when people come sit with you as you're there when your mom is gone, right? So sympathy is somebody coming to see you. Empathy is somebody coming to sit with you. And those are very big differences. Yeah, we'll go with let's go with it's me, Jamie.
If you want me to be honest, I don't have too much to add to what you just said, Sir Hill, because that is the truth. what you said is empathy is you sat there with me when that plug was pulled, right? And you embraced me before it even hit, right? Like you were there to say, okay, we about to do this. You're not going to be okay, but I'm here, right? And we gonna walk this out together. That's like carrying your cross, right? Somebody helping you carry this cross. And then sympathy is like, oh, I feel sorry for you, but let me see if this really happened, because I'm just coming to spectate in a little bit. I mean, just like to feel this, like I want to seem like I have your back, but I never really checked on you in the first place, or your family. You know, it wasn't my concern. So it's just a sympathy statement. So no, I think that the way you worded it was perfect. And in losing somebody, you kind of, I could see where people were being sympathetic to me, and then where people were being empathetic in my situation. So yes, I agree with you. I'm gonna go with lost in translation.
Let me put it this way. Empathy creates a deeper emotional connection between individuals. It involves truly putting yourself in one's shoes. Now, sympathy, on the other hand, is where you connect to somebody at a distance. You see what I'm saying? Emotionally. And I think empathy allows you to create a deeper emotional connection closer to that person. So it's a matter of connection and distance in this particular situation. And I'm going to go with Ash this time.
Well, I have no words. I mean, y'all took them all. Sympathy is just that, you know. It's something, again, I don't have, so I really can't tell you.
You don't have sympathy either.
Look, when I worked in the call center work, they told me I need to work on it, and that's not something I've really been working on.
Was I your coach then?
No, this was
That's
later.
how I left.
I
Okay.
don't know how them people hired me as quality, but they did anyway. That's
They
their.
needed the numbers.
Hey, I put them up though. Hey, it wasn't no return on the product, so hey, that's what I did. I had to do what I had to do. I had to become an actor. Okay, that's what I did. But yeah, sympathy is everything. What everybody on the panel said. I really like what Law said is because empathy, you can kind of be at a distance. Like somebody will say that, oh, I'm so hurt, but they're really not hurt. They're just giving you the words of encouragement. That's why most of the time when I see somebody done lost somebody, I always say send in my condolences, because I really don't truly know how you feel about that person. Like I can't say or determine your level of hurt. That's why when my one of my brothers, they lost their mom, and I was like, look, I can't tell you how to feel. I don't know what you feel because of the relationship that you guys have. So I always say you have my deepest condolence, you know, gave him a hug, embraced him. We had a little cry moment, you know, but at the same time, it's like, I can't go there with you because I don't know what that relationship entail. So I always just try to keep it a little simple, sending my condolences, you know, sorry for your loss, and keep it like that because you don't know what feelings it got to be unpacked. And to me, I don't try to be pushy with it. I allow them to unpack that when they ready to unpack that. That's why I say I really don't have it because I try to stay at bay from it because
But it
it's
sounds like you do have it though.
yeah, it sounds good. See, it's part of the acting. But anyway, whatever.
You don't want nobody to know that you're nice. A nice.
Exactly.
That
Don't
is
don't get it twisted. It's
crazy.
not nice.
It's crazy, but okay. So, Hal, you want to say something?
Yeah, can I add something? Ash, you definitely are sympathetic. So you can't distance yourself if you're not there. It's just not possible. So you can't say you're not sympathetic and then say you distance. You come on, those are contradictory. But anyway, we'll move forward. So I'll say this: sympathy is not a bad thing. I want to put this out here because everybody cannot empathize with you. Let's take this example again. Lost in translation, you gave us a great illustration. We're going to build upon it. You don't want your doctors to empathize with you because if they are too connected, think about this. If a doctor is working on their loved one, typically they're pulled off that case because the concern is that those feelings are going to get in the way of their judgment, right? So depending on the relationship, that oftentimes dictates whether or not it's appropriate for someone to be sympathetic toward you or empathetic. So your doctor has to be a bit detached so that their feelings don't override and cause further damage. However, the minister who comes to see you, they need to provide that connection. And so I say that a lot of times we judge people based off of the sympathy or empathy, and we associate sympathy with a lesser, disrespectful, um, a, uh, uh, a feeling that's not necessarily genuine. But really, sympathy is the basis of altruism, right? You need people to be disconnected to go do research to figure out how to keep you alive. You see what I'm saying? So it all has its place. And I think that we have to make sure that we give credence to that and not necessarily give sympathy a negative connotation.
Oh, that's interesting how you spent that though, Sir Hell, because I'm thinking about how you're talking about a bias versus an unbiased situation. I remember when I was studying to get my doctorate degree, and in my dissertation, I had to write down what my bias were because I was researching black owned businesses, right? And so obviously I'm a black man and I have businesses. So I also was looking at when I was reading from an empathetic standpoint sometimes when I needed to be in a sympathetic format to be able to not be looking for something that I don't need to be looking for. You know how you know,
Objective.
yeah, objective, absolutely. That's a very good point. That'll be interesting as we move forward. I would say, going on with what Lost in Translation said, I looked at it from the like a physical standpoint. I would say that sympathetic is more like an arm's reach, right? Like you're within arm's reach. There is not any necessarily emotional connection to that individual. It's just more saying, listen, you know how people say, I pray for you, right? That's what that sympathetic, that's what I see, but they don't necessarily pray for you, right? Whereas if I compare it to empathetic or being showing empathy, it's where you actually do pray for the person while they're right there in front of you. So I think that that's important for people to see that there is a part of sympathetic where it's not good, right? But there is a part of sympathetic or sympathy where it is good, and we got to be able to know the difference. I think going back to what Jamie said, that's a part of communication, and that's a learned skill, and individuals need to probably go, if you go to college, take communication 101, and that'll be a very good starting point. And if you don't go to college, then it'll be good for you to do some digging on how to communicate in different scenarios and situations. It's also a body language class that would be phenomenal for y'all out there that don't do that. So as we're tackling and unfolding, go ahead, Lost in Translation. You got some.
Yeah, I wanted to point out the difference sometimes in language models where um, empathy and sympathy could really be examined by the words we use. Say, for instance, an example I used earlier about losing your mother. I can say, I couldn't imagine losing my mom. That's sympathy because I'm keeping the spotlight on me. But if I use the words, it's never easy losing your mother, you're basically keeping the spotlight on that person and not introducing yourself into that particular situation. I think that speaks more to what empathy really is by removing yourself from the equation and actually keeping the spotlight or the concern of the actual person who needs the assistance versus injecting your own anecdotal situation into their tragedy. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's like my pastor said yesterday, it's somewhat of a, oh no, he said it last week. It's staying away from narcissistic tendencies, right?
Right.
In your example, you're saying, uh, let's talk about where your feelings are without me talking about mine.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So as you can see, that was the next question. Like that's the question. It was, go ahead, sir. Yeah, we dialoguing.
Unless they ask, right?
What
So,
do you
so, if we take Lost in Translation as the example of, you know, I'm sorry you lost your mother, and they ask you, has this ever happened to you? You see what I'm saying? Now it's an opportunity for them to find strength. That empathy. Now this moves towards compassion, right? Sympathy is me feeling you, feeling for you. Empathy is feeling for you, and then compassion is me trying to relieve the pain. And so now, when I open up and share with you, this is what I'd had to do when I lost my mother. And let me tell you, it doesn't get easier. They say, time heals all wounds. That's a lie. You just learn how to live with the pain. You see what I'm saying? So now empathy opens up the gateway for you to show some insight into how you got through it. But again, it has to be based on them. They have to be the driver of initiating you opening up and sharing with them. This is the whole basis as Christians where we get share your testimony, and they
Right.
overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. It's we help each other when we give each other an opportunity for me to see me inside of you. If I see Lost in Translation who's experienced what I'm going through, and I'm up here like I'm distraught, like I don't know how I'm gonna get through this, but Lost in Translation has been through that. Well, not only do I have the empathy where I feel like I'm connected to somebody, now I also feel like I got hope to get through what I'm dealing with. And that's how empathy turns into compassion. What he's done in sharing his testimony has given me hope and some resilience to keep on going so that I could be like him and make it through this difficult situation I'm going through. But again, the person has to drive that. Otherwise, it is narcissistic.
That's good. Hey, who you wanted to go next? Well, so hell, you went. Who you want to go next?
My bad. Let's go with Ash.
No, you good.
Now, how am I supposed to follow up with that?
Not like you're about to. Listen, this is what you could do. Okay. What does empathy look like in a conversation? So it can be with one of your passengers, it could be with one of your kids, it could be with a family member, or even these no good dudes that you be having to run across. You know what I'm saying? So it could be any one of them or all of
Didn't I
them.
tell you I don't have that? Because if it's a
Yeah,
no good
boy,
dude,
yeah.
if it's empathy for a no good dude, you don't have too much longer to talk to me. The conversation got to end.
Why did you pick the last one? I gave you options.
Because I don't have empathy with them kids either. Because if I tell you not to do something, you want to be hard headed and go ahead and do it. I'm gonna watch you fall, and then I'm gonna look at you, and I'm gonna allow you to gather yourself, and I'm gonna ask you, okay, so what did we learn? Sometimes it's okay to listen. It's okay. I really don't. I really don't. I'm telling you, I'm so serious. I'm horrible with this because I promise you, one of them kids was running around at somebody else's house, and I said, "Stop! Don't do that." And they kept doing it. I said, "Okay, you're gonna fall in a minute." Next thing you know, you fall. Now you want me to hold you and console you because you done did what I told you to stop. No, I can't. I can't. I'm a horrible mother. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Again, how you expect me to follow up with empathy? I don't. I really don't know how. If it's not something dire, I can't. You got the wrong person.
Honestly, I'm not judging that.
I'm just being
I
honest.
just think it's
I can't.
interesting that you don't think that you're empathetic. Like you pick up people for a living.
Okay, okay.
You're in a service industry.
What that mean? What that mean? Yes, I'm gonna pick these people up.
Like you
I'm gonna act
chose.
accordingly.
Let me ask you this question: could you have had a different job, or was this the only job available to you?
No, I could have something different.
Okay, so you chose a job that allowed you to help people to get from point A to point B, but you're saying that you're not empathetic.
Not really, because I mean, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It to me. Here you go. The way I look at things, this is how I really look at things. Is and I guess I should work on this. I put it on a bucket list of things to do. But is because I had a friend tell me, it's like you always do the right thing, no matter what you say and what you do. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna talk my trash, but I'm gonna do the right thing. But if it's just common courtesy, that's what I'm gonna do. Like if I got an older lady with a cane or whatever, or she got a basket and she need the bus let down or the ramp out, yeah, I'm gonna let it out because you need help, you need assistance. So I mean, it's not my fault. It's not your fault. You wouldn't load up this basket that you barely can tote and or push or tug. But I'm gonna be assistant so you can get off the bus and not hold the rest of these people up because I got some crazy folks in the background that like to
Is
cuss
that a
and get loud.
requirement? Is that a requirement of
Hmm?
your job? Is that a
Yes.
requirement of the
Well,
job?
it's not. It's a judgment thing, but you can tell when
Huh.
somebody's struggling, when the basket's empty. I mean, common sense is not so common, but I try to use mine and try to refill it with every nickel that I can.
Jamie, can you help
But yeah,
us
I
see?
really don't have him. I
You,
really don't have empathy there. I
you,
really don't. Maybe
Jamie,
I have more sympathy. Maybe I have more sympathy.
help her out,
Go
Jamie.
to her.
But you want my answer? Is that
I want you to. I want both, both of them. I want you to let Ash know if I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm good with that. That she does show empathy when she's at her job. Okay, and then you can tell us about however you want to, where you show empathy in a conversation or in a situation. But start with Ash
yeah, I'm
first.
okay. As you do show empathy. You even show sympathy. It's just I don't think that you want to be vulnerable. Like, or you don't want to seem like that, but you do it naturally. So it's probably like you don't kind of like want to accept that maybe you have a heart, and you do, and it's okay. And that's you do.
That thing got so many holes in it. We ain't gonna talk about
She
that. That's
said
a
no.
different show.
You do. You do, and like you just saying. But for me, whenever I've been in that situation, and somebody's passed away or I see something, I don't do the typical "Oh, I pray for you." I do go in people's inbox and I'm like, hey, what do you need from me? Right? Like, it's what do you need in this moment? Do you need prayer? Do you need a song? Do you need just a word? What do you need? Because when my dad passed, I got a lot of like, oh, I can't believe that. But what I would have preferred was somebody to be like, hey, what you need in this moment? Do you understand? Because the way I found out was so traumatic in itself. So ever since that happened, I kind of like pivoted to how I approach people. So I'll give an instance. I had a client that I've been doing her hair since she was 12 years old. She's now in college, and I seen that her mom passed. Now I've known the mom too, and I had to. My first approach was a sympathetic approach. I reached out to her because I knew she was still at school, and I said, I'm sorry for your loss. Call me if you need me. But I know, since I know the client, I knew she would initially call me. So then empathetically, I said, hey, you could come by anytime. So she did come by. And we had a talk and we cried, and that was the empathetic approach to it. And it's kind of good we're having this conversation, because sometimes you have to start off with sympathy, um, because some people are guarded, right? And then if you know them enough, when you ever see them, you could have that empathetic moment with them. Uh, but but that's kind of like how I would look at that. What does it look like in a conversation? It's allowing them the space to tell you what they need in that moment, without the narcissistic tendency of saying, well, when I, or if, this is what I would do. Nobody asking you that. Nobody care. And I hate to say it like that, but nobody wants to hear it in the moment. I know I didn't. I was like, I don't care what you would, I don't care what you would do. I don't know what I'm gonna do right now. So yeah, that's it. That's my answer. I think everybody went besides me.
Yeah, for sure.
Was so yeah.
Boss, you went?
Give
I
people
don't
the
think
I
you
don't
went.
think
space. The
Lost in
space.
Translation
You,
went.
Sir Hell, you got something?
Yeah, I went first.
Also went
You
first.
did?
Yeah, he
Oh,
went
Okay,
Sir
yes.
Hell,
first.
did you go? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 36. This I forgot.
36. Like that ain't nothing. What you talking about? That's crazy. Hey, this is really good. I wanted to kind of pause on, not pause, but kind of continue the conversation as it relates to the grief part, right? Because and if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But I think it's very important to talk about what it looks like to comfort someone when they have lost someone. Because when I lost my late wife Jen, people didn't really know what to say, right? And so I had started a vlog because people would ask me all the time at the church I was going to, like, how's it going? Like, what you mean, how's it going? Like that doesn't really. Do you not you realize who I lost, right? So I want to talk about what are some tools that we can give people, uh, because Jamie already gave her illustration of what, and she may want to add to this. Hopefully, she would will. What would you have liked to have heard? Because people don't know, right?
Say thank
And some people say some of the dumbest things, right? In their ignorance, though. to some degree. Okay. So the question that I would have is in relation to the topic or even off topic, empathy and sympathy when it comes to a person that's grieving. What is a statement or question that that person that sees you in grief? What is a question or a statement that you would like to hear? That makes sense of a question? Do I need to go deeper in that? We good? Okay. All right. Let's start with Jamie because you had one, and then I want you to. Do you have another one?
Um, the first one was, what do you need? Right? Like, what do you need in this moment? The second one, what I would have liked to hear is when they saw me out, if they would have said, do you want to talk about it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you good to talk about it, or are we gonna just act like everything's okay? And even that would have just kind of opened the door, like, nah, I'm not gonna act like everything's okay. No, I'm not in a good space, But nobody asked that. They would just say, I used to hear, your faith is so strong, you're gonna make it through, and I'd be like, that I don't need to hear that. Like, I need a hug. You know what I'm saying? I need a hug. Like, I lost my dad. You for real? Like, and like that, I can't never get a dad back. You know what I'm saying? I need a hug. Um, so, and even that, like, I would say sometimes you don't have to say anything. Sometimes a person just needs a hug. You don't even got to say anything. With the girl that came when she came over, I didn't say not one word to her. I just hugged her, and she just started bawling, and that's fine. That's what she needed. She needed to just feel embrace, right? And then that opened up dialogue. So that's what I add. I mean, that's what I have to add to it. Oh,
So who you got going next?
okay. We'll go with Lost in Translation.
Thank you. The question is, what questions to ask when someone is grieving? Ask them who their support system is. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes the person who's closest to them is the person that they trust the most. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes people don't know how to take other people's involvement in their position, in their particular situation. So it's asking the question, who's your support system and who can I talk to filter what you need? You see what I'm saying? So that way you can actually get them what they need. I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, if somebody had a child whose parent died, and you say, hey, look, who's your support system? Who's helping you with this? And you say, it's Janie. Okay. Listen, I have a grief counselor when you're ready who can assist you with this. I'm going to give them the information. And when you're ready, you'll be able to get that from them. Now, if you have any questions or anything like that, I'm always here, but I understand that you want to keep the limited amount of people involved in your particular situation to a minimum. So I will want somebody to figure out exactly who that person's support system is and how you can support them supporting that particular person. I'm going to go with Sir Hale on the next one.
That's really good, man. Um, as a minister, something that I've learned is graceful silence. It's a powerful thing when somebody's dealing with grief. Like, you ever have people around you who they think they need to talk or they think they need to cheer you up, and when you lose somebody close to you, it changes you forever. This is documented scientifically from medical professionals. It changes you forever, particularly a parent. I lost my father. He's been gone for 31 years. 31 years. And there is not a day in 31 years that I haven't thought about my dad. If I'm being honest with you all on here, there are some days, there was a couple of times I was supposed to do a show. And if it's about fathers, it's very difficult to get through the show because if I'm being honest, I'm a grown man. I've got success. I've got my own wife and children. I got a voice, but there's a little boy in me that misses daddy. And that's a tough thing. Even talking about it now is tough because I miss him. So in dealing with grief, sometimes you don't need people to give you a soliloquy. I'm like, listen, I'm Sir Hell Speaks. I can speak to myself. You know what I mean? What I need is somebody there. That's why I said in the beginning that empathy is not you seeing me. It looked like you heard, it looked like that really got you. But sitting with me, and then when I'm ready, you won't have to ask me any questions. I'll open up because you've created a level of trust just by sitting with me in my pain at that moment that I feel comfortable enough to share. And it might start off with a couple of words. It might not be well thought out. It might be a little bit sporadic. But if you give me enough time, I'll tell you this. And it might not make sense, but me just getting it out provides a level of healing because the silence you provided provide me a safe environment to just feel and be human for a minute. So I think that everybody needs to take a lesson out of this. Sometimes you don't have to say stuff. Sometimes you could say stuff and mess it up even worse. It'd be like, man, would you shut up? I don't want to hear nothing from you. Get away from me because the words you're giving me more stuff, and I'm already emotional. I'm already frustrated. I don't need to be thinking about nothing else. Just be quiet. And the fact that you're here, that body language says more to me than anything your words could do in this moment. So that's why I say graceful silence is an important thing. So we'll go with salute to Prototype. We'll go with him next.
What's up,
Bro,
homie?
what's going on?
Glad you could make it, man.
Yeah, my world is whoo, whoo, whoo.
I understand.
Right now, between all stars and football's ramping up and being a coach and dad. Whoo, 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 whoo.
I can
But
only
to move forward though, man, I specifically logged on to say exactly what Sir Hell just said.
imagine.
Um, you know, y'all heard me say it. Job is my favorite book, right? So when they first came around, and ain't nobody saying nothing. They didn't start messing it up until they started saying, "What about this? What about that? This and that." But when they was just there, just chilling with it, and that's sometimes all you need, right? And like that's how I've learned to grieve with people. Like we've known a lot of people, and we've dealt with a lot of tragedy. Black people got plenty of PSD, right, or whatever. Um, so when we lose people, when I go around, I don't say nothing. I'm just there. You know what I mean? There's nothing to say. There's nothing you could say. Like, it's going to get better, or you know what I'm saying? You pray to yourself. You don't say nothing. It's just I just started inviting them and just being peaceful space for them. You know what I'm saying? Peaceful comfort, peace, just being around, and that can not drag, but that could take people just out of just depression, feeling love. Like, you know what I'm saying? It could do so much for a person that could pull them out of whatever kind of weird space they might be in. Because what is it? Being alone, man, that's the most dangerous place you could be when you're dealing with all types of emotions. So you know what I mean? You don't really want to leave people alone, even though that's what people really want to do is just be alone. But being around, like just forcing yourself around them, bringing them food, or hey, let's go get something to eat. Let's do this. You know what I mean? Hey, there's a picnic. You know what I mean? I'm not saying let's go wild, but like, hey, there's a picnic. Let's do a picnic real quick. You know what I mean? Let's go play some frisbee. Hey, you want to hoop? Let's go hoop. Hoop? Oh my God! Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what a hoop game does for a person that's depressed? It's crazy. So, nah, man. Like, hell, you wrapped it up, man. And but yeah, that's exactly why I was compelled to log on to say exactly what you already said, bro.
That's what's up. Hey, who hasn't went?
The last, but never the least.
Let's get it.
I would say for me, just allow me to process it because, you know, what you got to do. You got to have a funeral within a week. Then you got to call the family up. You don't really get that time to process what life looks like without this person. That was my biggest thing. Like when I lost my grandfather, because me and my grandfather was really close. For me, with him, my auntie, it really took me out, But I didn't have time to process because I still got to be a mom. I still got to work. I still got to travel. I still got to go out of town. Still got to check on somebody, make sure they're good, make sure this person's good, make sure my mom and them good, because that's a lot, especially when you lose somebody while you're pregnant. Because I lost my grandfather. What was it about 2 weeks before I was due to have my second child. Like right before in the same month, I lost him. Really caught me off by guard. But I really would wish people would understand some of the strong ones, all the strong people, we need time to process things. Give us a moment. Don't ask us how we doing, because you already know we messed up. We gotta confront these feelings, because that's the hardest part I really had to deal with, was trying to control my emotions to make sure, did nobody come early, because that's a whole different ball game right there, when you got to keep your emotions intact to make sure somebody else don't come early, so you don't have any more complications or losses. But allow people to grieve. Don't sit up here and be in the face somebody, okay, so how do you feel now? Okay, it's hour two, how do you feel now? Don't ask me how I feel. Allow me to, like everybody said, allow me to come to you with it. And when I get ready to open up and speak, just listen. Don't involve yourself until like Sir Hale said, until I ask you to get involved. Allow me to just grieve. Allow me that time to process this, because like everybody said, this is life changing. Like, this is all I know. But when this takes my world in a different place, I gotta figure out how this works, how this move. When I can call this person, when I don't get a crazy voicemail talking about my auntie, that she gonna come blow me up because I ain't answering the phone. That's not happening. Yeah, I used to get that when I didn't answer the phone. I'll come down there and blow you up since you can't answer your phone. I have to learn how to live without. And that's something, as adults, we really don't see, living without people. And that's what I was just telling my best friend the other day. I said, I'm trying to prepare my kids to live without me, because I know my days is numbered. I want to be able to say the seeds that I plant now in them, they're going to be able to live without. Because a lot of time dealing with the bus, I do see people struggling. And sometimes you'll hear them say, oh, I lost my mom, I lost my dad, bus driver, can I talk to you for a moment? And, I let them go on until they get off. But it's just allowing them to be in that space, because sometimes you don't get it, because sometimes you study got to move. But allow people to grieve, allow people to process who they're grieving. That's why I said earlier, you don't know that relationship, because that relationship may be stronger than what you have, because a lot of people don't have the dynamics that some of us are blessed with certain people. And that's why I say I never try to put myself in somebody else's situation fully, because I don't know, because your time may be different than mine. And I never want to do the the generic lines. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't understand. No, because I truly don't. Because I tell them all the time up front, I don't understand what you're going through, but let's talk it out when you're ready, not at my pace, when you're ready. Because sometimes what I really found, sometimes you can't hear it out your own mouth. Sometimes you don't want to hear it out your own mouth. You have to let yourself come to terms with that process. And that's why I say everybody needs that process time. If that's a better way to put it. Everybody need that time to process what's about to happen. Just because they close the casket, they don't end there. It don't end there, because you got to go after that. And then a year after that. Because it takes some people forever to get over certain things. Like, I'm just now getting to the point where I can talk about my auntie and my grandpa without crying, without breaking down. And I can smile about them, because their memories don't end at death. They still live on, because they don't stop with death. They don't. And that's what I think we get confused on too, that they stop with death. No, because they taught you something. They taught you how to either be there, ride a bike, start driving, or they let you borrow their car and you were going 100 miles per hour, and you're acting crazy behind the wheel. They allow you to do something. And I think that's one thing that we need to also bring awareness to. They don't stop with death. The good memories, bad memories, there's a lesson there somewhere that you take on. But yeah, mine is, allow me to process. Just allow me to be me and process it in my way. Not your way, but my way.
That's what's up, Frank Sinatra. That's a good point, right? It is a good point. Let me process my way. Um, and I think that the part too, for the person that is grieving, we have to, or whoever that is, there needs to be a level of compassion to the people that are trying to help you or be there or whatever it is may be, because they don't know, right? There's an ignorance there that I had to learn. I needed to be compassionate towards these people, because they literally have no clue of how I'm feeling to be able to empathize with me at all. And so grief is it literally takes you out of who you are or have ever been or who you ever will be. And then if you have not dealt with it, then you even become a totally different version of yourself if you don't deal with it as you should, right? And so I would say another thing, not necessarily a question, but maybe more, I guess one is a question, but also the person that is has lost someone, don't forget years later that they lost someone, right? It doesn't need to, like in my situation, I had crazy help, right? I mean, God did an amazing thing with the people that were around me for probably about 5 months, right? 5 months, 5, 6 months. But then thereafter, it was rare that I got a call or anything in relation uh to Jen passing. And that, I got 4 kids, and not a lot of people even, not this, I would say the same people didn't necessarily call and check up on them. It was sporadic, you know. So what I would say is based on your relationship with them, check in on them periodically throughout the year. And one of those questions that you could ask, and what I developed with my own kids was, what's your score? Right? And of course, I took that from Kevin Samuels when he would talk about the ratings of your looks, whatever. Well, I took it and I spent it and I said, okay, what's your score as it relates to how you're feeling and how you're dealing with your grief today? And even to this day, I ask my kids this question, and so I would give the rubric, if you will. One is like, I cannot be around nobody. The world feels like it's going to end. And 5 is that I'm a even type of, I'm even, right? And then you can't say 7. It's either a 6 or an 8, because people will obviously lean on a 7, right? But a 6 means that you're doing your best to navigate for the day, and 8 is saying that you're solid, right? 9 is I got to smile and I'm good to go. 10 is like, man, I know I can smile now. I can look at my, as my kids would say, I can remember what mommy did, and I can smile and I can laugh about it, right? And so for those that don't have that scale, that's the scale that I use with my kids now. And so even with Kendra coming into my life, she now uses, or she was using the scale and the score. And so that would allow me to tell her where my grieving process was. Okay. And then I would say the other part would be another question that you could ask them is, can you tell me about, a favorite time that you remember with them? you know so if you don't know what to say, that is another question that you can ask based upon what the atmosphere is, because the more that the person that's grieving gets to talk about that person, there's an emotion that's there that needs to be exhibited, whether it's crying, laughing, whatever the case may be. There's an emotion that needs to be exhibited. That is what I would say. So I wanted to have this conversation because I was led by the Holy Spirit. That's really what that's really no other way around, because it was not planned in the notes, but I just recognized the conversation, what we were talking about is something that's not necessarily talked about, but people need to hear that people have gone through a situation as traumatic as losing someone, and what can be said and what is helpful, even in, I think, what you said, Sir Hale, what you said, silent, what was the word you said?
Your graceful silence.
Thank you. Graceful silence. Graceful silence. I thought that was very poetically put. So I appreciate that, and I really appreciate everyone that that did share, because I know how tough that can be. I really appreciate that, and I hope the people that are listening definitely got something of value from that. So as we transition back, did anybody have anything else to say before I transition?
Hey, Sir Hal, graceful silence is not coined yet. Like you can really take that and make that a thing. Like you just put a definition to that. So do something with
Producers,
that.
Clip this. All right. Appreciate you.
Yeah. That's what's up. Hey, so we're gonna transition to continuing the path about talking about empathy and sympathy. And hopefully people my haters out there can see that we not talking about men or women specifically. I don't see that person in the chat today that is always in the chat trolling. All right, so here we go. Where do we need, did I get that right? Where do we need to be more empathetic in our generation? Where do we need to be more empathetic in our generation? All right, let's start with Sir Hill.
That's a big question, Humble Dad.
I appreciate that.
That's so that question presupposes that we have a general emotional intelligence baseline we all operate from. And I think to answer that question, we have to establish that. And I don't think we mean like an emotional intelligence where we say the word emotional intelligence, and because you said the word, you're emotionally intelligent. It's like, no, no. So we have to have a baseline. The first thing is I look at Ash and Jamie prototype and Lost in Translation. And instead of me saying that the women get a chance to experience the full range of their humanity, and Lost in Translation and prototype got to get up and work and man up, I think the baseline here is everybody here is a human, and that each person has a range of emotions that need to be expressed in some way or other. I mean, that's the first thing. You are human and you feel, and there was nothing wrong with the feelings that you have. The second thing is, I think that women can help facilitate this by allowing men to be human without the fear of risking respect because they display a part of humanity that culture says that we should hide. So I think women play a very pivotal role in this because most men we don't share because we're afraid that the woman we love is going to look down on us, and in the compassion drops all the way down to sympathy, and that sympathy is connected to disrespect. Men, however, can help facilitate this by us not being too afraid to be what we are, and we weed out bad women who don't give us the ability to be human. Right? So you see what I'm saying? We have to overcome this fear, and then we got to make some concessions because a point that I want to make, and I won't be too long on this, is that we don't understand what pent up emotions do to our nervous system, and how when you have pent up emotions and you can't be human and you got all this stuff bottled in, the type of hormones, cortisol, that's that hits your body, and it keeps your body alert and active, and you can't sleep and you're always alert, ready to fight or flight or argue, and then the havoc that wreaks on your body, inflammation. So we have to be able to be human so that we don't die early. You see what I'm saying? In respect to Men's Mental Health Month, we have to have that so that we don't die early. And when we have our women to help facilitate that, and men who are vulnerable enough to say, I'm human and I've got feelings too, I think then we can get to the baseline. Where do we need more empathy at? So to answer this question after that long statement is, I think we can have more empathy in terms of mental health, right? And we're no longer at the place where we can just keep telling men to suck it up and be a man. That man has feelings too. That man goes through pain as well. And he deserves and he needs somebody to give him the ability to be human so that he can experience life and be a better man, both to himself, his wife, children, and to society at large. So I think that's an area, mental health is where we can be more empathetic at.
That's good.
Let's go with Lost in Translation.
Thank you, Sir Hill. One of the things we can do is set the table for what somebody needs. I'll give you a question I normally ask some of my friends. I ask them, hey, is there something that I need to know about you that you haven't told me yet? Or is there something that you need that you haven't asked me yet? You see what I'm saying? It could be anything. It could be, hey, I need help with trimming these hedges or something. You know what I mean? Or I just need somebody to talk to. Let them fill in the blank with what they need. You see what I'm saying? And I think when we do that, we give them the amount of medicine that they need at that particular moment in time. It's one thing for you to give somebody what you think they need versus asking them themselves and say, hey, is this something that I need to know that you haven't told me yet? And give them the latitude to fill in the blank. I'm going to go with Jamie.
I think I'm still lagging. Am I still lagging? No? Okay. Because my internet is struggling over here, you guys. But the the answer to my question, to that question is, I would say trauma. And I was going to say specifically childhood trauma, but I feel like we as a society are not empathetic to people's traumas, right? There's things that happen that, like he said, if when you lose a parent, you're never the same after that. And it's true. I give an example. Like I have my dad was the person that gassed me up, right? Like that's the person, if I had a win, I'd call him and I'd be like, hey, guess what I did? Right. And he would say all of the dad stuff. And so now that I don't have that, when I have a win, you feel me? I do this whole opposite. I'll be crying. So people would be like congratulating me and I'll be crying because it's not the same for me. The win is not the same. And so I've had to overcome that. So I would say trauma. Trauma would be where we probably need to start being like, some like we being able to listen to people's trauma and understand that they're living their life out of that lens.
How does someone know that someone has a trauma? Jamie? You hear
Well,
me?
so you're saying like we talked about the difference between sympathy. Yeah, we talked about the difference between sympathy and empathy. When we get to the empathetic level with somebody, they're able to express certain things, or you could, like Lost in Translation, Answer Hill said, give them the room to talk, and you'll be able to pick up. That's why where you stop having a communication to respond and actually listen. I remember I went on an interview and somebody was talking, and I was like, they didn't say this. I said, you got touched when you were younger. And then they looked at me crazy. And I was like, you're communicating, you know what I'm saying, in a way that somebody had a traumatic experience by being touched when they were younger. And I was dead on, not on purpose, but it was just like, because I was picking up on certain subliminal things that were being said. But you have to be able to listen, you know what I'm saying, to people and really hear them when they're talking to you, rather than being like, oh, I want to relate. Sometimes you don't need to relate. You just need to hear, because they're actually trying to get you to pick up on that. They want to be able to say that without being judged, but they don't want to feel shame in the same place. You know what I'm saying? So trauma. A lot of times, if we would be able, especially in our community, if we would be able to sit back and be like, hey, her life wasn't really good. That's why she acts like that. You know what I'm saying? We would be able to have compassion, but also be able to have the skill to help that person grow and not make it worse. You know what I'm saying? Or make them
Yeah, listen, when you
feel
get your
shame.
internet, listen,
Not
you get
saying that
your
shame
internet
ain't bad, but sometimes shame and no help.
point, Jamie.
Thank
You
you.
hear me? When your internet get right,
I got
person gonna be on point.
That was an
wait, said
absolutely
again.
beautiful point.
It was a good point, but you
Thank you.
kept like breaking up.
It's
Like
okay. We empathize.
facts. No, we're sympathizing because I'm not putting no money towards no bill.
Get you a Wi-Fi 6 router or something.
You need to stop. You
I gotta
need to
figure it out, you
connect.
guys. I thought I had it together.
You
I
need
was
to
so
connect
excited. I
directly
even
to your
messaged
modem.
Tumble Dad and I said I do not have trash internet no more.
You did. You did. Yeah, you lied.
And it's still doing the same thing. And I lied. I feel like really defeated.
Prototype, what you got? Where do we need to be more empathetic in our generation?
Power, confidence, uh, not being insecure. Uh, I think people aren't empathetic because they're not confident in who they are. They're not They feel like, I think Powell said something like, finding someone who's willing to accept you for being sympathetic or empathy, or that allows you to be in whatever. But I say you just got to not care about what they feel and what they say, and be what you are anyway. You know what I'm saying? So in order to be that person, you have to be confident, or just not give a damn about anything, or you know what I mean? But that comes from, I say power, because that comes from a position of power. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to say I'm the dumbest person in the room if I got the most money, or if this is my company. If everybody worked for me, I don't mind saying I don't know everything. But when you're employed, you feel obligated to be like, I know more than, because you pay me XYZ. You understand what I'm saying? So um, I think, like I said, empathy comes from a position of um, a position of power.
Are you saying there needs to be another level of humility? Because I'm asking, right? So
I
if you
don't. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm trying. I guess I'm trying to paint a picture of where I see empathetic people from.
oh, okay. Do you see them in a position of power? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, people who are empathetic, who might care about your situation, or but people who are in struggle, they don't care. They're struggling too. You know what I'm saying? So it comes from a position of comfort to be able to be empathetic.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where I see people being, having empathy from. I don't see empathy coming from somebody in a struggle, or somebody who's grinding. Or I don't see it. I just see it from a person of power.
I think what you're saying is I wouldn't necessarily say power, but I think I see what you're saying, because there are some people that are powerful that don't give sympathy. You right? Like for example, Hitler did not give. He was not empathetic
I'm,
to
I'm,
anyone.
I'm not. I'm not saying people of power are empathetic. I'm saying I only see it from people of power.
Right. And I understand what you're saying in that statement. I'm saying to you that I can see the premise of someone that's able to give and willing to give to that person that is struggling is a position of empathy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are in a position of power. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
because there are bosses, there are bosses that, even though you had the birth of your child, they don't think that you should leave work. You see what I'm saying? Like that's not sympathetic or empathetic. Like they just, they somewhat like Ash. You know what I'm saying? They just don't care about you. Right?
Can I give some perspective on that too, Uncle Dad?
Yeah.
I think I understand what Prototype is saying. I don't think it's power from the perspective of position in life. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's power in position of a person and how they own their feelings.
Right.
And if you think about emotional intelligence in the 4 steps, it's knowing yourself, managing yourself, but then managing others. There is some truth to what Prototype says. You have to have, and let's substitute the word power for self-control or confidence, the ability to be confident and courageous enough to be vulnerable for the sake of empathizing with somebody else. It takes a certain amount of strength to do that. Prototype, is that what you're saying? If
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it's
I
along the
agree.
lines.
I agree
I
with
mean,
that.
no, I think you're on it, right? And it's a position of power from, like, not from a rich, but it could be just in a relationship. There's always what I mean, there's a reacher and there's a, what they say, there's a reacher and a settler, right? So the settler could always be empathetic to the reacher, like, oh, maybe they could do it, like, that's the one who sees potential in a person, so we'll work with them, and you know what I'm saying, we'll date somebody based off her potential, that kind of situation. So um I'm not saying it's a rich thing, but yeah, hell, I hate to say your name sometime, like, I don't know if it's hell or how, but
Hell.
hell, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He said, hell yeah.
That's funny.
I struggle with it every time I do it. I try to do it out of respect, but I struggle with it. But Yeah, nah. It's, like I said, I just think it comes from like a confident. You got to be confident or not care about the repercussions of looking weak. So
That's
yeah,
what's up. That's what's up. I appreciate that perspective because that's not one that I was thinking of, and I value that. Who hasn't? I think Ash. Have you gone on the topic?
No, no, I had to step away for a brief moment and
No worries. Let me see. Do
handle
you?
some things at the front door. Yeah, it was put it back up there for a second
I see if
because
I
I
can
got
find
side.
it, if I erased it or not. Where do we need to be more empathetic in our generation?
Raising our kids.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did I step on your toe? Be
Probably.
empathetic. Well, let me stomp on it then. Be empathetic that these kids are not us. They not growing up in our generation to where we did not have, because we didn't have. Stop trying to give them what we didn't have because we didn't have what they have today at their fingertips. Be empathetic that their feelings are a little softer, or certain things may touch them and have them crying to where we just got over it. Be a little more empathetic to these babies because they don't have the skill, the knowledge, or the willpower to be who we were yesteryear because we were growing up in a different time. They got all this technology to baby them, but we over baby them. This is no shots at nobody. I'm just saying. Like, we got all the technology in the world and we still won't go up the street and leave the kids at home. Why you got all the technology? Shoot, we used to be left at home. We was told, what? Don't open the door for strangers. You hear a knock, you sit down and be quiet. Don't make no noise. Go in there and fix you something to eat. But now, oh no, do not go in there and cook. No, you're gonna go in there and cook. You're gonna learn how to fend for yourself. Cause I'm not gonna be here. I might be at work. I might get stuck at work. Something may happen to where I'm not here physically. So you still need to be able to take care of yourself. You need to know what to do and what not to do in the house. That's why you got all these house fires. These kids running around here playing with stuff in the house, and oh, little Timmy set the garage on fire today because he wanted to play with firecrackers. He didn't understand the fire. Yeah, he understood it. That's why he did it, because he knew you wasn't gonna whoop him. He knew there were no consequences. It's like everybody, as I like to say, is scared to show discipline. We don't went to the friend zone with the children. How they gonna know anything if they ain't got no discipline? If they don't have discipline, how they gonna finish something? Like this, I know this is kind of off topic, but I don't understand how we got all these babies running around here that don't know how to read, but yet we expect them to be the voters of tomorrow. But let it just sink in. Don't let it hit you in your chest, because if your kid can't read, you shouldn't be on the internet. But anyway, I'm done.
What? If your kid can't read, you should not be on the internet.
Anyway, don't forget the
What,
anyway.
what particular age do they have to know how to read? What
Shoot,
age?
right now with all the technology, they should be able. I started my oldest with my baby can read program. That was something that was like, yeah, way back then. Yeah, that drove me crazy.
What
Like,
age?
sir, that 15 years ago. Start them
You
at
don't know
two.
how old they was
Oh,
15 years
hold
ago?
on, hold on. She may have been about, because when I bought it, I think she was about at least 6 months. Because the advertisement was if you
Oh, okay.
start
So
the
you
word
know how to read
recognition
anyway?
early. But you
Okay.
got all these programs now. You got all these, I'm sorry, you have all these wonderful apps that you can download.
Okay.
So we shouldn't be behind. We should be ahead, according to technology. But technologies have put us yesteryear in caveman behind. I'm not, I ain't,
It all
ain't
depends.
no
Listen,
stats.
Ash, it really all depends on who's running the household as it relates to the education, just so you
Never
know.
mind, I can't see nothing. Never mind, I ain't saying nothing. I can't
Hey,
see.
listen, ladies, y'all gonna have to do a better job with this lagging. Okay. Just so
I
y'all
can't
know.
see. Mine is not
You,
lagging. I just took my glasses out. I told you I couldn't see nothing. You said we're gonna have to do
you,
a better
you
job.
lagging.
Oh, I didn't. Hey, it normally doesn't lag. Let
It
me
don't
call.
usually, just today that y'all just feel like it should lag, but that's cool.
Hey, it's raining outside.
Yeah, we
It
got
rained
this.
in Houston. Everything shut down. So I mean, hey.
Okay. Okay, I got you. I would say, as far as what's missing, and this is what I struggle with, and as I'm learning this past week, is that I don't empathize that much with people as I should, because I don't typically meet people where they are. I kind of have a standard that they should already be at, and I struggle with that. And so that's the humanity part that I heard Sahel talked about, and trying to understand that people are where they are, you know what I'm saying? And regardless of where I think they should be, I have not made it myself in some regard, right? And so I have to be able to say, okay, you're not. I have to, not out loud, right? Because I have said these things out loud before to people that you really don't know what you're talking about. Like I should just hold that thought, right, and and communicate with them, knowing that, as opposed to saying, I'm not sure why y'all laughing. This is real. Like I'm confessing to y'all my struggles.
I'm
Um,
not laughing. The only reason
you
why you see
laugh,
the smirk on my face, the only reason why you see the smirk on my face is because that's how I feel about certain people that get on my bus. But then I have to remember that a lot of people can't read, a lot of people can't do certain things. So they do need other people that can to help. So it, because I promise you, not to interrupt your testimony, but
I
it
don't
took me a
know.
while to understand that, to understand everybody can't read. That's why they ask questions, and you're ready for them to ask.
What that mean? What?
You no, like I said, this was me coming to realization moment that sometimes people ask questions because they can't and they don't want to get lost, especially when they have like a job interview. See, that's taking it to something serious. They going trying to do something productive.
Yeah.
And it had to snap that everybody can't read and they need help.
Yeah, 1 in 6 people. This was years ago. Maybe it's definitely more. I think it's a higher percentage now, because this was probably like about 12 years ago or so. 1 in 6 people are illiterate in the United States. I'm sure that it's a little bit more than that now. Being in education, I've dealt with a lot of ninth and 10th, 11th graders this particular year, and the majority of them cannot break down a word problem, right? They don't really know what the question is asking, right? So that's just from that generation. So from the Black community, on average, we're at about a third to sixth grade level in reading. Okay. And so, and that is because of parents not making reading the fundamental priority, one of the main priorities in their child's education. What most Black people decide to do is to wait till that kid gets to school to help them, and then the school's supposed to help them learn how to read. Well, the school, I'm gonna give you education, and then I'm gonna come to you, Laws, because I know you had something to say. But this is a very much of a passion of mine, as it relates to education. Um, Parents, the education system is not designed to help your kid thrive. It is designed to help your kid work for them, okay, or be a worker bee, if you will. So it is. So what has happened is that years ago, for example, algebra was like, I think about 10th grade or something like that. Well, now algebra is being taught in parts of it 7th and 8th grade. So they literally moved down. They moved it down. I know it's even further down, but I'm talking about there's parts of it, right, that it even go down to 6th grade, right? And so, and then reading level has also, what the requirement is, you got to be the problems have become harder, because in the 3rd grade is when they start testing. And so what has happened is that the government system knows that kids are not going to be reading, and so the goal is to dumb them down, right? And so if you could just help your kid read every day, regardless of what it is, have to make sure they read every day. Lost on you.
You know what? I'm glad you said the humble dad, like 1 in 6 can read. I would venture to say half of those are as well in comprehension. I can tell by the conversations that we have that we get a lot of stuff, quote unquote, lost in translation, like for real, because it's always the reassurance of, let me hear what I think you said. Or if I'm not correct, is this what you meant? You know what I mean? How come we can't just go by what I said? You see what I'm saying? Instead of you trying to figure out exactly what I said. No, I said what I said. You don't have to figure it out. I'll give you another example. Reading is one of those things, man. We should actually tie it to good memories. I'll give you an example. Father's Day is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. If your fathers are still here, make sure you don't buy him some crappy tie or nothing like that. Get him a book. I saw it on TikTok. It's a book on there and it's empty. And it's allowing your father to tell his story. I don't think we get into the situation where we ask our dads their story. And some of the questions in that book is, tell me about the time you were most proudest of me. Those are some of the conversations that need to spark a level of conversation that we're missing from each other. Those are just some of the examples. And there's some other questions in there, but they're deep. And most of the time, it's questions that we don't always ask our parents, and allow them to fill this book up. So that way you'll have memories of that person long after they've been gone, and also give you more insight on who they are as a person, and it allow you to connect to the humanity in that person. Say, hey, I was reading in your book that, you've been working since you was 12 years old. Now I see why you don't XYZ, or you know what I'm saying, throw out the last of the whatever it is, you want to make something out of it to make your dollar stretch. And I think those are the things that we need to do is as people, is to ask each other their stories. Let me ask y'all a question. When was the last time somebody asked you your story? Ask you, how did you get to be the person that you are? You know what I mean? Nobody ever does that. We're too busy trying to tell everybody who we are instead of asking the person next to us, how did you get here? You know what I mean? Because everybody's life journey is different. And I think once we start getting back to asking each other's story, we'll be able to connect to each other on a more humane level and have more humanity for one another, because everybody's path is different. So I think that this generation needs to have a conversation. Turn off your phone, turn off the internet, walk to the park, sit down next to each other and ask them, hey, how did you get here? Tell me your story.
That's what's up, man. Hey, I sent y'all some in the back chat, just so you know. Shout out to Lost in Translation. He's the reason why I put it there. Yeah, I get it. Yes, sir. Hey, this has been phenomenal, man. I really, really appreciate y'all. Don't forget to check out It's Me, Jamie, on all platforms. Hey, go subscribe to her. She does a really good job of delivering the word of God in different formats. Prototype, he's doing his thing. We had a really good discussion last week, bro, about man, it was about, I can see it, but I can't say it.
It was about the Forever Team.
Yes, Forever Team.
Responsibility.
But it was something else.
It was for Forever Teen and arranged marriages.
Yes, arranged marriage. I wanted to say child support, but I know it wasn't child support. Arranged marriages. Oh, go check that out. That was a really good dialogue, and check him out tomorrow as well.
Now we're gonna go on. We're doing bi-weekly now because the schedule's retarded. Okay. But our next episode is going to be about preparing to be a grandfather. Yeah, I know.
Wow. Okay, that's what's up. Check that out. Lost in Translation. Don't forget about him. He's everywhere. What's the show you got coming up next, Lost?
The next one I'm coming up with is the anatomy of a relationship. Just to give you the heads up, it's going to go into how do you determine that the person you're with is going on the same journey that you're going on. I'll give you an example. Some people get into marriages and say, hey, I want to have a kid in the house and this, that, and the other. But when the kid in the house get there, they never agreed to be in a relationship with that person. You see what I'm saying? Their whole point of view and distance that they decided to go on is different. So once your house fills up with all this stuff, then the date night goes away. And what happens is people forget that they're in a marriage together, and they forget that the marriage is the most important thing. So we try to determine whether or not these two people are actually going in the same direction versus, hey, I want to have a certain end goal, you know? So
Yeah.
basically, we're going to put that together and see exactly how we can put those things together and whether or not this person is the right person for you and going in that particular direction.
That's what's up.
I need to be a part of that one.
Ash, why is your phone doing what it's doing? What are you doing?
I don't know. I bumped it and I'm sitting sideways. Okay. I don't know. Okay. It's a Houston thing. Just say it's a Houston thing. Sitting sideways. Okay.
Well, y'all
That's-
check out Ash. I don't know if she's gonna do well with her internet connection, so she might not post in a while. So
No,
check
because
it
I'm
out.
gonna take a social media break. I'm gonna because I did it for the year.
Okay, that's a
I
so
haven't did it.
okay. I got you. Hey, shout out to Sir Hale. We really appreciate you coming and stopping by to hear your perspective. What can we see you again? What as far as the platforms, where you at?
I check me out everywhere. So over this last month, I've been kind of back at it. So Instagram, TikTok, and you'll see me on some lives this week on YouTube.
That's what's up. Are you doing the visuals? Not the visuals, but the quotes. Are those coming by way of YouTube, or are you just posting it on Instagram?
No, so I write all those. I got 1 million of those written. I just started on Facebook. I take a screenshot and I add them to Instagram. But these are all thoughts in my head. I just add them to that, add them to a question, upload it.
That's what's up. People seem to be really liking those. Keep doing that. Appreciate everyone. Hey, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and all that jazz. You know what we're gonna be doing. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.